Hello, my fellow readers, as I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the store will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story and any future fan fictions you want me to read or review. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, this video, we are reviewing Morgan v. Morgendorffer. It is a Daria Dexter fan fiction review, and honestly, I don't know that much about Dexter. Outside of it's the show that gave us the whole surprise motherfucker meme, surprise motherfucker, and all the derivatives. But outside of that, I know just a little bit. Just he works in Miami. He's a blood splatter analysis. He's also a sociopath who kills other killers. And that's pretty much all I really know about the show. So let's get started. So the plot basically starts with Morgan. For sake of non-confusion, I'll call Dexter Morgan and Daria. So the story actually starts with Morgan about to cut up another killer, and then adds their blood to his collection. And then he goes driving down, he finds Daria, who in this story is a killer who kills pimps. Hooray! And so basically picks her up, and they're kind of like eyeing each other and stuff like that. And then he drops her off, and he's like, that chick's look familiar. And he finds out that she's basically called Clarissa Daria, who's basically a murderer who tends to go to two different cities and then just kill all the pimps, to like all the prostitutes, stuff like that. And stupid phone notifications. She basically goes to each city, does this whole big thing where she kills all the pimps and then she leaves and goes to another city. That's basically it. So the plot is basically just, Dexter trying to find out information about Daria, but at the same time, Daria is trying to find out all this information about Morgan. And so it's one of those, in terms of the plot, it's one of those stories that's supposed to build up to a big climactic, scene like this. It's basically just going to be one gigantic climax. There's no complex layering. There's no, there's no twist and turns, stuff like that. It's just basically linear as can be. And honestly, these stories do work. Mainly in humor stories where it's like building to one hilarious joke. Or if a story like this is supposed to build up to this one big battle. The problem is, the story doesn't build up to a big battle. It builds up to Daria walking down the street, killing pimps, and then she gets on her bike. And then Dexter drugs her. That's literally the climax. And when I read that part, I was legitimately pissed. I actually read this whole story in one sitting yesterday. I was pissed. Like, I was legitimately pissed. Like, that is it? That is literally the entire... That's what the story was building up to. And that's not to say the build-up was even that good either. It was mediocre at best. It's just not really fulfilling in terms of how... Excuse me. How everything works. It was just so unfulfilling that it was just empty. It was barren. Nothing was really going on outside of the idea of both Daria and Dexter getting into their mindsets on trying how to outsmart and how to plan everything for the other person, and then it just falls flat. There's just not really any plot outside of that mindset thing. The whole climactic thing is just literally about a couple sentences long. Why? And then randomly there's a side plot with Quinn that is completely unneeded and completely unnecessary. Quinn's side plot is, she's teaching kids about guns and stuff like that, and people don't like her because she's a lesbian. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm actually reading these parts like, what does any of this have to do with the story? Like, why? Like, I would have at least given it props if the side plot was actually done well, or if it tied into the main plot in any sort of way, but it doesn't. It literally doesn't. Yeah, it's Quinn, and she's badass now, and so are all her fashion friends, but that's just, it's unneeded, it's unnecessary. There is no reason to read that part. Hell, there's no reason to really get that invested into the main story in the first place. Like, there's just nothing. Characters. What characters? Like, you have Dexter and Daria, and it goes into their mindsets, but that idea is just not explored enough to really give passing remarks to character development. There's just nothing going on. It's just empty. It's barren. It is just, why? Grammar errors. Like, there's no grammar errors. Like, there's nothing wrong. Pacing. I have to at least give the author credit, whoever he or she may be, in that fact that the idea of going into their mindsets while, trying to outsmart each other, like, okay, here's what he might do, because they both know they're both killers. Like, they kind of figure that out easily. So it's like, how can a killer outsmart a killer by planning 2 steps ahead? I thought that idea was at least done well. Not enough to save the story. Sorry, got distracted for a second with my mom. So where was I? Oh yeah, the idea of going into the mindset of both killers to try and trying to outsmart each other was at least done competently. That's really the best compliment I could say about that. It's okay. It's okayly done. Like, it didn't go deep enough. We didn't get into that mindset as well as it really should have. It just falls apart. Like, every aspect of the story falls apart like the first chance it gets. So, would I recommend the story? No, I wouldn't. Like, I would not recommend this story at all. Like, there's just nothing going for it. Like, I would have forgiven the story if it had some kind of big climax. Like, not over the top, but it's just something other than what we got of Daria just going up to her bike, getting on it, and then getting drugged. And she passes out. And then, she tells Dexter everything she knows. In actuality, she hypnotizes him to go to another city and pinpoint her, promising to never go to Miami again. What? Like, I get that. I was walking into the story knowing that Dexter was probably gonna win, but I wasn't. But that's not only anticlimactic. That's just plain bad. That's just bad writing in general. Like, giving us some kind of fight, some kind of, like, confrontation, something, anything. Just anything, really. Just, story's bad. Favorite part? No favorite part. I would probably, like, if Daria said surprise motherfucker, I would have at least said that, because surprise motherfucker. Stuff like that. Because, that's like an instant meme. And everyone likes that meme. But it's nothing. There's just nothing. There's no purpose. I mean, it has a direction, but that direction's undermined by the fact that there's next to no plot. There's next to no character development. And all that build-up that's supposed to be towards a confrontation of some kind, whether it be physical, mental, ideological, something, is completely just not there. There's just nothing. Yeah, that's it. That's my review. What would I do to change it? a lot. First off, get rid of the Quinn. Either get rid of the Quinn side plot, or just try and tie it some way into the main story. Because, you know, something, anything. Like, have Quinn track Daria. Like, fine, you know. It'd be something, even if it was, like, such a minor, minute thing. But it'd be something. Build up the confrontation better. The idea of going into their mindsets is cool and all, but but if there's no overall plot to tie into it, like the idea of Daria and Dexter going in this ideological battle, that would have made a decent story. Like, you know, with Dexter, you know, the fact that he goes after, that they both go after killers, but they go about it in different ways. Like, what really defines good? Like, what really defines good and evil? Like, what's right and wrong? That actually would have made a decent story. It would have been a good story, but it would have been something. The confrontation, just add anything. Like, I would take Daria kicking Dexter in the nuts before she gets drugged. I would take literally anything. Like, anything. Like look at my plushie. Anything. Other than what we got. It's just lackluster. It's just not there. It's barren. And that is so bad, because at least all the other Daria stories I reviewed so far were really at the very worst decent. Like, I didn't have a bad thought of the story. Like, Pleasantville will probably be my weakest story, like the weakest Daria story. And even then, that's just like okay. Like, it's not bad. I didn't have too much bad to say about that, outside of like just being shoved headfirst into that story with like no warning. Like, okay. But that's probably the worst of my complaints to that story. This one is just everything's wrong with this story. Oh my god. But yeah, that's my review on Morgan v. Morgendorffer. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.